Thank you very much. Yeah. Now, I had a personal philosophy here is this: doing the right thing at the right time. To be at the right place with the right people, with the right motive to accomplish the right objective. There's actually 6 rights. A lot of people know that, oh, doing right thing, right time, right place. You will definitely succeed. But many a time, you were wondering how to do it. Okay? And I had this personal philosophy all these years, that when you do things with the right motive, if your motive is pure and good, and you want to bless someone, you will definitely succeed. Right? So I'm very happy to say we are invited by Dr. Om, okay, to be here. And then it was no coincidence that your government decided to regulate the real estate industry. Okay? It was, before he invited me, there were a lot of discussion. But then it was announced officially, right, that you are regulating the real estate industry. Now I'll take you through very quickly of what happened in Singapore. Now, many of you were thinking that Singapore is such a well-developed nation. We are underdeveloping, become a developed nation. But the real estate industry, the government also believes self-regulating, just like in many different countries. The politicians, the government, they care for you, but sometimes they don't want to be too harsh on certain things. Self-regulatory, it is important. But unfortunately, way back in Singapore, only 2010, they decided enough is enough. The real estate industry, most of us are all very creative. Okay? No, humans are very creative. Okay? You come with all. And then they realized that if you don't regulate the industry, it will be chaotic. So they decided. But thank God, I consider very blessed. I was in investment. I bought a master franchise, Remax, in 2009. Okay? That was a year of financial crisis. But I'm very blessed that I was not in crisis. Okay? I was very liquid. I own many properties through investment. Then I bought this franchise. I said, a franchise is a franchise, but where is the training? Where is the proper training that suits the local market? So I told myself that, hey, why don't we start a real estate academy? And I did the right thing by getting my eldest daughter, who's a very academic person. Okay? Now, for that matter, I want to encourage you here. I see you people in Nepal, okay? Young nation, many young people here, okay? That you are intelligent people. The younger generation are getting better and even smarter. I don't know whether I can say this, Dr. Om. He actually invited me to his house. Then I get to know his daughter. I get to know his son and his daughter. And then I will look at them. Wow, this generation is getting even better. They're smarter than us, really. Okay? So what I do that I got my eldest daughter to help me, and then we started the school. So I got the right people, and I do it at the right time. We incorporated our company on the 26th of January 2010. 26th January 2010. The government regulated on October 22nd. That means somehow I started the school, and then they regulate, and I became the first school in Singapore. Right? The government authorized it, we became the school. Now since then, 2010, up to now, 14 years, 14 years. We have actually churned out, according to the statistics just now they gave, was 30. In actual fact, we have only 40,000 alumni graduates over the last 14 years. I dare to say that almost 60, 70% of the real estate agents that are in Singapore came from my school. And we are, and we actually now have a total of 30 professional trainers delivering, dare to say, massive values to as many people as possible. Many of the real estate big mega agency, they had their own school. But you know what happened? Many of their managers are recommending the new agents to come to our school because we are the most neutral school. Okay? we had the highest consistent passing rate. Right? So we are happy to say that we are now the dominant academy in Singapore. And these are the 30 different trainers. Now I always say this, that not all trainers are the same. Every one of them had their unique way of presentation. Right? We have actually different, they were saying, what sort of training do you do? I have actually taken the liberty to pass you what they call a course guide, a Real Center Academy course guide. Okay? It's all on your table. Right? You can see through all the different courses. We have estate management courses. Right? We also finance for non-financial managers. Right? We got AI, AI courses. Right? So there are actually as many as 30 to 40 different topics. Right? So we hope that we will be able to help and to deliver if Dr. Om so decided, if you start a school here, we'll see how we can exchange and to assist out in the best way we know how. Okay? As you mentioned here, that we saw from this slide, the government seek to make operating license mandatory for real estate leaders. Okay? Now, in Singapore itself, no doubt they started 2010. It took them about 5, 6, 7 years before the industry getting more and more professional. So I did leave it to Dr. Om, yourself, and with your authority, how are you going to, regulating is one thing, but a process of delivering the training is another, right? That is also super, super important. Okay. Now, coming back to the topic itself for the day, I now want to hand it over to Harry. Now, I'm actually, to share with you this, I'm actually now the facilitator of the company. My job is to put the best people at the best place to get the job done. That is my role. So this part, I leave it to Harry to present to you the real estate industry.
Thank you, Ken. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe you have gotten a good lunch, so I will now entertain you. This is called entertainment and education. All right? So let us start. I'd like to congratulate your country, Nepal, because on the 12th of April, you have the foresight to regulate the industry. Today, anyone in Nepal want to practice as property agents, as property traders, you must be licensed. Otherwise, you can be fined up to 1 million rupees or more. Is it? So this is a good industry. Like Singapore, as mentioned by Ken Lim, before 2010, we were not regulated. Everyone does what is right in his own sight. And there were a lot of cheating cases. So the government says, enough, we shall pass a law to regulate the industry. So we passed the law called Estate Agents Act. Then this is to protect consumers. So self-regulation failed, we must regulate, so we regulate. So the government passed the law. In Singapore today, any person who practices as property agents without registration, on conviction, we will fine and imprison the person. Go to prison? Yes. We have two-tier licensing. The company must be licensed. Any company that does property trading that is not licensed, you can be fined up to $75,000 or 3 years jail or both. Any individual person practicing as property agent without registration, on conviction, fine up to $25,000, rupees 2.5 million, or 3 years imprisonment, or both. Go to prison? Yes. You know, when the government passed the Estate Agents Act, somebody must enforce it. So they formed the Council for Estate Agencies, CEA. Now, this is the government body that will enforce it, will prosecute the agent and send the agent to jail. Has anyone in Singapore been sent to jail because he practiced as a property agent without registration? Yes. More than one have been sent to prison. So the penalties on conviction, fine up to $25,000, rupees 2.5 million, or 3 years imprisonment, or both. You know, you said, fine 1 million rupees. Money only one can solve. I pay. But fine and imprisonment, I will follow, because otherwise I go to prison. And the government has sent them to prison before because they break the law. So Singapore is very strict. So following the passing of the law, we have the Code of Ethics and Professional Client Care, Code of Good Behavior. And I would urge the people and the government of Nepal to pass this law. We must have the Code of Ethics, Code of Right Behavior. We must do what is right, what is proper, what is honest, is it? So this is to reduce the risk of cheating, is it? So the Code of Ethics is there. We have the Code of Ethics and Professional Client Care. So under the Code of Ethics, we have this duty of due diligence. When we represent the customer, we must check, agent, what is the size of this property? Oh, it's 100 square meters. When they bought it, hey, agent, it's only 95. Why did you say it's 100? I didn't know. How can you not know? Because you are an agent, you should have done due diligence. Did you check with the government authority? No. Then you are negligent, on conviction, warning, fine, suspension, revocation. Code of conduct, no imprisonment. All right. But individual who breaks a code of conduct on conviction can be fined up to $75,000. But a property agency, you break the code, fine up to $200,000. That's a lot. You know, if you don't put a penalty, who cares? Just do as usual. It's no longer business as usual. The law has been passed in Nepal. If you do not register, you cannot practice. Tell your friends. Otherwise, you can be fined up to rupees $1 million starting 12th of April. You know, we have duty to clients, and we must act with professionalism. You must be honest. You must be truthful and transparent. Do not hide. Because when the client appoints you as an agent, you are put in a position of trust. You must put the client's interest first. Protect the client's interest, not your own interest. That is under the duty of honesty, integrity. All right. Hey, agent, what is the value of this land? Rupees 100 million. How do you know? I feel like it. Feelings. Nothing more than feelings. You cannot feel. You are the agent. You must do the due diligence. You must check with the valuer. You cannot just take a figure in the air. I feel like it. And what if the client buys at 100 million? It's only worth 70. Agent! Why do you tell me it's 100 million? Oh, sorry. Hey, what does it do? Sorry cannot cure. I lost 30 million. So you are professional agents. Make sure that when you give opinion, it's subject to verifiable facts. You must be able to check. And duty to clients. Hey, client, sign here, sign here. Okay, sign. Agent, you tell me to sign. Now I do not know what I sign. I don't want to sell. Hey, you don't sell, they'll sue you. See you in court. You know, you are a professional agent. Why should you go to court? Why should you go into trouble? Make sure you do things properly. Explain the documents and then ask the client to sign. After they've signed, give them a copy. You know, there are complaints. You asked me to sign, I signed. Now I don't know what I signed. I'm not given a copy. I don't want to sell. I don't want to pay your commission. Why create trouble? Do things properly. Make sure that you explain, let them sign, give them a copy. All right, so the obligations must be clearly stated. Make sure that when you do a rental agreement, you explain the terms to the client. Sign. I don't know what to sign. Where do I get my deposit? So you must explain. That is your duty under the Code of Ethics. You know, we have a complaint. Agent got 5 offers. Only give 1 offer. Hey, why do you give me 1 offer only? Where are the other 4? You, as property agents, must give all offers to your client. You cannot hide, you cannot hold. Let the client decide. Who are you to decide on behalf of the client? You know, we in Singapore are a multiracial country, just as we are in Nepal. So the primary language in Singapore is English language. But we have clients who cannot read, cannot write English. They are not educated. And you ask them to sign documents without understanding. I'm sure here, not all people can understand English language. But your documents are done in the English language. Did you explain in the language of the person? If he cannot understand, then he can say, I don't want to sign. I don't want to sell. I've signed, I don't want to sell. I don't care. You can sue me. So avoid problem. Translate in the language that the person understands. Agent advertise. Land in Kathmandu, 10 acres, freehold. When you have bought the land, agent, this is leasehold. You told me it's freehold. I paid 100 million. Leasehold is only worth 80 million. Because you advertise freehold, I believe you. Now I lose money. I'm going to sue you. So make sure that your advertisement must be 100% accurate. And when you take the photograph, you put in the advertisement, must be that real property. No point taking the neighbor's photo and then put in your advertisement. It must be the actual property, so that you can avoid problems. Then conflict of interest. You know, Harry Yo represent the seller. Sell the property at 10 million. I advertise. I do door knocking, telemarketing, no offers. A lot of viewing, no offers. And then I come to the seller. As Mr. Seller, you know, I've been working for 2 months, no offer. Now, good news. I have 1 offer. You want 10 million. I got it at 9 million. Okay or not? Okay lah. You know, in Singapore, we say okay lah. All right. So, the buyer bought at 9 million. The seller want 10 million. Say okay. After he has closed the sale, hey, agent, why didn't you tell me that the buyer is your wife? So I asked you to sell at 10 million. You sell it to your wife at 9 million? Are you cheating me? No. But I asked you, yes. You never told me it's your wife. If I know, I would have said yes. I'm going to complain to the Council for Estate Agency because there's a breach of conflict of interest. I ask you a question. The seller wants 10 million. My wife says 9 million. Whom do I listen? My wife, of course. Of course, we men are outside. I'm the man of the house. But go home, yes, honey. Yes, honey. So the point is this. If I represent the seller who wants the highest price and my wife who wants the lowest price, there's a conflict of interest. How can I get the highest price and the lowest price at the same time? So under the code of ethics, I must inform seller. Seller, I've been marketing for 2 months. No offer. Good news now, I have finally found a buyer who wants to offer 9 million. And by the way, the buyer is my wife. Is it okay with you or not? Okay lah. Now, according to the code of ethics, as expounded by CEA, if there is a conflict of interest, and we inform the seller, and the seller say yes, it's okay. Because the seller is fully aware and consents to the sale. But if we do quietly, that is wrong. So we must avoid conflict of interest. I was selling many properties, and then I went to see a factory, an industrial building, And Mr. Yo, I want to sell this factory. Tell me, how much is the value? This, if you ask me to tell you the value of office space, shop units, or HDB flats, I can tell you because I've got many comparable figures. But a factory of $10 million is hardly sold in that area. So I said, hey, seller, I'd like to help you, but I'm sorry. I am not a valuer. I cannot tell you the price. Why don't you employ a qualified valuer? That's the code of ethics. If your client asks you something that is outside the scope of your expertise, you should recommend them to a professional. That's under the code of ethics. So we must recommend, sorry, I'm not a valuer. Why don't you employ a valuer? All right. And then in the course of representing the client, I got a lot of confidential information. John, you want to buy? Let me do a financial plan. How much do you earn? $10,000. Your wife, $12,000. How much bank account have you got? Bank savings account. So when you represent your customers, you got a lot of confidential information. Under the code of ethics, you must keep it confidential, cannot share with other people. All right. And then the government of Singapore, in order to control the profession, not only did the code of ethics, we also have the estate agency work regulation. So under this work regulation, these are laws, agency property company, you cannot represent the seller and the buyer at the same time. You either represent the seller or the buyer. If you represent two sides, that is called dual representation. All right, so one agent cannot represent the seller and the buyer in the same transaction. If you do, there is a conflict of interest. What's the penalty? If there's a conflict of interest as a complaint, CEA will prosecute that person and send them to jail. If an agent represents the seller and the buyer in the same transaction, you represent the landlord and tenant in the same transaction. Dual representation. On conviction, fine up to $25,000 or jail. I ask you a question. Has Singapore Council for Estate Agency sent any agent to jail because he represents two sides? Yes. We have sent more than one agent for imprisonment. The last one was 6 months because he represented both sides and collect from both sides. So, for the government of Nepal, now that you have passed the law, you should have this kind of regulations. Based on the law given, you are empowered to make regulations. And you make this regulation, make sure you enforce it. If you say cannot represent two sides, I represent, people complain, no action. Then they say, hey, the government is not serious. So what you say, you must enforce, then people will obey. All right, so, what's the big deal? Represent two sides, fine 25,000 or 3 years imprisonment, or both. Go to prison one. And then somebody said, hey, I like to buy this land, but I was short of about 100,000 Singapore dollars. No worries. Why don't you go and see this licensed money lender called Honeybee Credit? We, the agents of Singapore, cannot refer our client to a licensed money lender. Not the bank, The banks are called financial. But those money lending company with special license from the government. If we, the agents of Singapore, refer our client to a licensed money lender, on conviction, fine 25,000, 3 years jail. So everything is fine and jail. Fine and jail. Why? If you say just fine, nothing lah. Money only Nah, I pay the money. I don't have any penalty already. But go to prison. You go to prison. I better obey. So it's always fine imprisonment. Fine imprisonment. I will be able. In fact, all of you can have a copy of the Estate Agents Act. Just go to Google, type there, Estate Agents Act Singapore. You can open, the law is there, free of charge. You can print it out. All right. My client wants to buy a property, 1 million Sing dollars. And he says, Harry, I like the property. In Singapore, we buy property. We are different, We must pay 1% option fee. Within 14 days, we exercise. And then we pay the balance. I know that in Nepal, if we buy and sell property, you sign sale agreement straight away. Sale and purchase agreement prepared by the lawyer. But we have, in Singapore, it's different. Pay 1% option fee. Within 14 days, pay 4%. That becomes a deposit, and then 90 days complete. But the point is this. My client says, I want to buy it now. I give you $10,000 cash. Of course, I'll take the cash. Agent! You are not supposed to hold the cash. Now that you hold $10,000, you are holding transaction money. On conviction, fine $10,000 or 6 months imprisonment or both. Why do you not allow the agent to hold transaction money? Because agent can take 10,000, disappear. The client will lose the money. So you cannot hold transaction money. You can only take a check account payee. So this is to prevent cheating cases, Cannot hold transaction money. On conviction, fine 10,000, 6 months jail. All right. Then, when I do my internet domain, cannot use www.cea. whatever. We cannot use the CEA symbol under the law because it may cause confusion. Any agency or agent uses the symbol, on conviction, fine 10,000, 6 months jail. Everything is fine and jail. And then, under the law, those who register with the company will issue you an ID, identity card. When we go and do viewing, when we go and see client, we must wear the ID. Harry Yo, RCN. If we do viewing or any estate agent work without the tag, on conviction, fine 10,000, 6 months jail. Oh, go to jail one. Why? Because you didn't, the law says so, But so far, CEA has not sent anyone to jail. So, we are very disciplined. Fine and jail, we all follow. Yes. We follow, otherwise we go to jail. But I've been in the line for 27 years. I was never fined. I was never jailed. Because the law is made for the naughty people. Good people, no worry. Just follow the law. So that's the way it works. So we must display the card. So in conclusion, in order to have an agency that is good with good foundation, we must follow what the government has given to us. This is to protect the customers. Then they have a sense of security and integrity, and they will continue to deal with us. If not, then the chances of cheating is so great, they will not work with us, you see. So we can see that we in Singapore have passed the law to protect the consumers. We have the Estate Agents Act. You know, under the law, there are two-tier licensing, you know. Harrio, Property Agency Private Limited, that is called an estate agent. That must be licensed by CEA. If not, the company is not licensed, can be fined 75,000 or 3 years jail. Now, Harrio Private Limited is a company. Then John wants to join me as an agent. I will register John with CEA. If John is not registered, he cannot practice. So there are two-tier licensing in Singapore. First, we license the company. If the company is not licensed, we fine 75,000, 3 years jail. Then we license the agent. Agent must join the company. If you do not join, you practice, fine, jail. You know, we in Nepal, we have started a law to say that you must be licensed. Now, with licensing, there comes training. In Singapore, it is compulsory that those who want to practice as property agents must go for exam. You must pass the exam before you can practice. So, we, the people of Nepal, I'm part of Nepal, must also have training program. You must have, so that you can impart the knowledge and the skill, and they must go for exam. We are in Singapore now, I change that. We in Singapore, especially in RCN, are prepared to share with you the kind of training that's required, the kind of syllabus, the kind of books that are required. You know, there are 9 lectures of 3 hours each for law. 1 lecture 3 hours, 9 lecture 27 hours. And then for marketing and trade practices, another 9 lectures. 18 hours of training, and then they must go for exam. 18 times 3 is 54, you know. 54 credit hours. They must go for the training and go for the exam. And if they fail the exam, they cannot practice. Must go and sit for the exam again. And the exams are quite easy. A, B, C, D, multiple choice question. You think it's easy, but the questions, the answers are so close, you get confused. It's not as easy as it seems. I should know, because I am the chief trainer, you know. Big deal, huh? I should know because I train for all the topics, you know. The law topics and marketing topics. That's why I'm the chief trainer. I do everything one. My boss is there. And over and above that, those who have license, they want to be their boss of their own company. They must have 3 years of work experience as a property agent and close at least 30 transactions. Not enough, Must sit for another exam called REA, Real Estate Agency Exam. Wow, that one, 75 credit hours. Paper 1, paper 2, paper 3. And not A, B, C, D. Must write essay questions. I'm pleased to announce that I train all the topics. Big deal. All right. But the point is this. In order to maintain the standard, you must have some kind of exam. Don't make it too tough in the beginning. Make it reasonable standard. Make sure that they come. You make so tough for what? Because we want to register them, put them in the professional realm, you know. So after that, we got to monitor. Now, in Nepal, we have this law gazetted on 12th of April that all must be licensed. I'm sure there must be a government body that will do the licensing. Will you enforce it? Will you enforce it? That's another question. Because I know in Indonesia, I have friends there, they have the law, but they don't enforce it. And then the genuine agents say, hey, all these illegal agents, you pass the law for what? You don't enforce it. So we must enforce it. We must tell the people we mean business, then you will have good results. So having said all this, I've come to the end of my presentation. Thank you so much. All right. Yeah. If you have any questions, please direct to me, and I'm pleased to answer. Is there any question from the members of the floor? Oh, yes, there's a question. Wait, I'll wait for the mic to be given to you.
对，直接要 throw question 的 Q&A。
Hello. Thank you very much for your lovely presentation. We really enjoyed it. Okay, recently we have just founded an organization related to the real estate agents and agencies in Nepal. It's called NADA. And we have a president over here.
All right.
We have a general secretary over here. We have a few friends over here as well. The main purpose of founding that organization was to bring all the agents in the same place. So we could do something which the government body couldn't do. But we will be more than happy if the government body can do the work which the individual organization or the people are trying to do, right? So my question to you is like, how we can implement the things what you have just said, which is very productive, which can be very beneficial for all the agencies and agents or the realtors or even the brokerage firm. So it's not like a question, it's just like I want the government body, if they are here, I want them to follow the things. If they can't create it, why not copy it? Copy it from Singapore or from the things what you guys have done already. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It is a very good idea to copy from Singapore. Because we have 14 years of track record. We were groping in the dark, and then we have developed something that is meaningful, that is practical, that is successful. Why reinvent the wheel? Just copy, adapt, and adopt, and then you can improve, But having said that, how to implement? The implementation, the enforcement must come from the government. In Singapore, we have the government and we have a professional organization, more than one. We have the Singapore Estate Agents Association, which represent the agents and the agencies, and we have the government, and the professional body meets with the government, talks with the government, and then work together, to make it a successful program. But the enforcement must come from the government, because the professional association cannot prosecute, cannot enforce. We can guide, we can hold hand, and then the professional institution must do the training. In Singapore, our model, every year, every property agent must attend courses. Must attend courses 3 hours and then get 2 credit hours, For example, in Singapore, we have this anti-money laundering law, because, people wash dirty money in real estate. So we have this anti-money laundering law taught by Professor Yo. Attend for 3 hours, then you get 2 credit hours. So in 1 year, we must attend a few courses so that the agents are updated and upgraded. And who can do it? The professional bodies can conduct a course which is recognized by the government. So having passed the exam is not enough. The knowledge gets out of date. We must have continuing professional development, and the professional association plays a very vital role in that. Did I address the question? Thank you. Any Do I run out of time?
Sure, we'll take one last question and we shall be moving on to our next session.
Hello, Sheikh. I'm Sati from 360 Private Limited. And my query, I have a couple of questions. And first question is, can we take the training from Nepal, after Singapore?
All right. So can we sell properties in Nepal?
Training.
No, can we take trainings
Training
in Singapore?
from Nepal?
All right. No.
And
In Singapore.
Yeah, another question is,
Yes. All right.
and as a agent, for example, as an agent, how can we deal with the financial crisis? In the financial crisis, how we have to deal
Right.
and as an agent.
All right. Okay.
Must ask my
To answer the first question, in Singapore, only those agents who have passed the exam and registered with the Council for Estate Agencies can practice. So you will have excellent training in Nepal. It will not enable you to practice in Singapore. Just like those in Philippines, in Jakarta, they ask the same question. Can we practice in your country since we are qualified? The answer is no, because you must sit for the exam and register with CEA. For now, foreigners are not allowed to sit for the real estate exam. Only Singapore citizens and Singapore PR. We, a small country, 720 square meters, have 36,000 agents. And that's too many, and more people coming in, be more competitive. We have 36,000 agents. So to answer your question, no, foreigners, whether from Jakarta, Nepal, Malaysia, they are not allowed to practice in Singapore. So if you have buyer, call Harry Yo. We can co-brokerage, share commission. All right. Okay, yeah. So we can, because I'm sure you have contacts here. What's the second question about crisis?
The question, can we answer that question during networking session? Financial crisis?
Financial crisis, what's the question of financial crisis? All right. If there's financial crisis, I'm very happy to be in the agency business. During the boom, I got business. Crisis, I also got business. Why people got to sell? They got to rent. Actually, they don't want to rent. They got to move to their mother-in-law and then rent their place. Whether the market is up or market is down, I will still have business. That's number one. Number two, I give you one example. During the COVID-19 lockdown, all of us stay at home, cannot do business. But we in Singapore are doing, because we go through Zoom. We go electronic. You don't have to see face to face. We can communicate like Nepal. Nepal is such a big country. If you have clients from another province which is quite far away, why don't we call for a Zoom meeting so that I can do a presentation face to face? And if we are happy, I will fly over to close the deal. But first presentation, we will do through Zoom meeting, virtual meeting. Now, we in Singapore are very quick to embrace technology. So you must also embrace technology. That means you must adopt the new way of doing things so that you can reach far and you can do more business. We have closed deals through Zoom meeting. During the COVID-19, we have done deals even though we are not allowed to leave the house. So be creative. Every adversity carries with it the seed of equal opportunity. You must look at the opportunity. Okay, I hand the time back to my learned MC. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ken Lim and Mr. Harry Yeo, for your presentation. I'm sure everyone agrees that this learning process and their presentation was very fun and entertaining. Your insights have undoubtedly enhanced our understanding of the real estate agency and how it works. And there are many things that we learned from this presentation that we as a nation can learn from Singapore. So now, as we continue our exploration of real estate development strategies, we are privileged to have another esteemed international speaker from Singapore. Joining us will be Mr. Kent Su, who will be presenting on the Singapore Master Plan of Urban Development. Mr. Kent Su is the Group Associate Director of Real Center International, with over 18 years of experience in the real estate industry. Previously from Knight Frank, Kent Su is popular with RCN students for our signature real estate salesperson course. He is also a real estate agency and a CPD trainer for courses such as Marketing Singapore's Real Estate with Draft Master Plan 2019, Private Residential, HDB Leasing and Sales. Mr. Ken Su is a certified NLP coach. So I would like you all to give a big round of applause for Mr. Ken Su to please come up on stage to present.
Thank you. Thank you, MC. Okay. Namaste, Namaskar, Jahin. Okay, so my friends, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, or friends from behind. Can you hear me? Kai hola? I only hear like two voices over there. Can all the friends behind hear me? Okay, so my friends, I'm here to share with you the master plan. Okay, master plan, you can see that it's a land use plan. Any of you are familiar with this place? Where is this place? Singapore. Very good. Okay, from Ken. Okay. All my Nepal friends, where is this place? Anyone? Okay, first thing first, have any one of you visited Singapore? Okay, a handful of you. So I've visited Nepal for about 5 times. I was just here in November at Naga Court for meditation retreat, and then before COVID 2018, I was here at the Bodna Stupa. Then we go for circulating of the stupa. So I myself am a Buddhist, so I love Nepal, and Nepal is a very nice place. And most important thing is that the Nepalese people are very warm, full of love, and full of energy. Are you full of energy, full of love? Yes, very good. So after lunch, must have some workout, yes or no? Cannot? Okay, so my friends, this is MBS. Okay, the hotel itself, Sands Corporation have spent $8 billion. It's one of the most expensive hotel in the world built. Okay, this is MBS. Okay, the building like a ship, like a sailing ship. Okay, and of course, on the left-hand side, that is where the Central Business District. This is the most prime area office you can find in this area. Okay, so basically master plan. Okay, I read about Nepal. I check. There's this 16-5 years plan for Nepal. Is that right? So something similar. Okay. So URA is the Singapore Land Use Planning and Conservation Authority. So they will plan the land use for the next. Okay. So basically for URA, they work with the relevant government agency to develop the plan and the land use for Singapore. Okay, and basically when we plan, the place that you see earlier, the MBS, it used to be a swampy area. So Singapore, we only have about 700 over square kilometers, whereas Nepal is 200 times bigger than Singapore. Okay, it's 200 times bigger than Singapore. But basically, last time that place used to be a swamp. So they are planning, and first of all, what they can do is to reclaim. So the only way that Singapore can grow bigger is by reclaiming of the land. And then we can also go higher and higher. Skyscraper, and of course you can also go sideways, but cannot go too far. Because sideways is Indonesia land, Malaysia. Okay? So, and basically for the master plan, this long-term plan is for the next 40 to 50 years. And we have a shorter plan, which is the master plan, which is for about 10 to 15 years. about 10 to 15 years. This is the one, and it's being reviewed every 5 years. So the last master plan was 2019. And government will sit down with the agency. They will also consult with the public on what would be the type of developments, amenities, okay, and then from there, they will actually take some feedbacks from the public, and they will do whichever that is needful for Singapore. Okay, so basically, this plan, you can see that is going to be 20 to 30 years, but I only have got 25 minutes to present. So it's going to be a high-speed drill. Okay, so please stay with me. Okay, I'm not going to be going very slowly. I'm going to go but at a pace that I hope that all of you will be able to understand. So it shows the permissible land use and density. And basically, the vision of this Master Plan 2019, Singapore, okay, we are very limited land space. So they want to make sure that we are able to live, work, and play in the same area, because we are having very limited place. So whatever government is planning is all about living, working, and playing. A garden in a city, okay, a city in a garden. There's also our founding father vision of Singapore for Singapore, okay. So basically, okay, the facilities you can see that are carefully distributed out, and later I'll show you the key thrust of the master plan. So the last master plan, as I mentioned earlier, it was 2019. So where are the key thrusts for master plan 2019? So inclusive, sustainable, and green neighborhood. Later I will share with you which are some of these areas. More clarity on new growth areas. Greater connectivity. You see this green, blue, and underground. So green represent the greenery, blue, water. Okay, water is very essential, and rejuvenation. And most important things, the water and food sustainability. Singapore, we imported more than 90% of our food source from around the world. Even egg, we imported from Netherlands. So during COVID, you can see that we are not afraid of not able to get food, egg on the table, because we even talk to country as far as Netherlands just to import egg. Okay, and there was once that Malaysia stopped supplying chicken to Singapore. Then we talked to Indonesia, and Indonesia supplied chicken to us. So we have got all these diplomatic ties with the rest of the world, so that we want to make sure that we have the food security for our people. So, first, strengthening economic gateway. All of you are aware that Singapore, we are one of the best countries to do business. So companies like Apple, Google, and they are coming to Singapore, and Hyundai, okay, they are also coming to Singapore to set up the electric vehicle production. And recently, on these past few days, we saw some BYD on the road. How many of you are driving an electric vehicle? Is that popular? Okay, only about 3 or 4 hands only. So it's still not very popular because the infrastructure is not there yet. In Singapore, it's also not very popular yet, but government is encouraging people to switch. So there was this early adoption scheme. They give incentive to ask people to switch to EV. But it will take a bit of time as well for Singapore. But of course, the infrastructure, the charging facilities is readily available right now. In the near future, in the next 1 year or 5 years, there are going to be at least 1 out of 4 public housing car park will be installed with the electric charging. So you can see that in north, south, east, west, okay? So that is where the east, Tampines, where the Changi Airport, and then that is where the north, Woodlands, okay? And then on the south is where I show you the CBD, and where just now the MBS, and also the Sentosa is also at this area. And of course, we have the Tuas, which is also connected to Malaysia. So Tuas, we are having a Tuas mega port. Once done, it's going to be one of the smartest port of the world as well. So basically, this is the MBS, okay, and then this is the very iconic Changi Airport, and of course, this We have only completed phase 1. Only completed phase 1, okay? And of course, that will be the future Paya Lebar neighborhood district in the near future. So, just now we are talking about smart nation. And Singapore, we are one of the smartest city in the world. Guess what is our positioning? Just guess, just throw any numbers. Number 1, number 2, okay, very good. We are number 5. So in Asia, okay, in Asia, like you can see that we are the only country there. Okay, we are the way that we live, the way that we work, the way that we commute, the way we do our banking. Just like that's how Mr. Harry said, we are able, like Nepal, we are able to go in terms of meeting with customer. You can go digital. We can leverage on technology. So not necessary that we have to meet our clients face to face. Just like COVID-19. For the past 4 years, okay, where everything comes to a standstill. What happens to property? What happened to this industry? Agents are making more money in that 5 years as compared to pre-COVID. COVID is a good thing to Singapore. 2, property agent. 2, developer. 2, the people who are in the business. As compared before COVID-19. So I tell you, we love COVID-19. But of course, we hope it will not come back again. And I tell you, just like Mr. Harry said, when one door closes, another door is always opening up for us. We are in the property business. We are in one of the most interesting business of all time. Am I right to say that? So we should be happy. We should be learning, continuous learning. That's why in Singapore, our government actually have got this concept of lifelong learning. We cannot stop learning. As individuals, we must constantly upgrade our skill set, upgrade our knowledge, so that we can continue to contribute to this marketplace. And yesterday, when I was visiting with Virat, okay, and he shared with me, okay, when they build this community living, okay, they want to make sure that there is no economic disparity. They do not want to have this segregation. Okay, we are all. Nowadays, the world is becoming smaller and smaller. We are human. We are Homo sapiens of planet Earth. There is no Nepali, there is no Indians, there are no Chinese, there are no Singaporeans. We are one people. Because technology is bringing us closer and closer together. Don't you agree? Okay, we are just one step away. Whether you're in London, you're in Nepal, I'm in Singapore. We can WhatsApp, we can do video call. We are just a few seconds away. My friends, embrace technology, because in this industry, this will be something that is very important. So learn, embrace technology. Regardless of our age, we must embrace that technology. Yeah? So, central area, I believe that most of us, like when we come to Nepal, we are very familiar with Kathmandu. There's the first stopover. Okay, we will always be here. From here, we go Pokhara. I went to Marathika previously, also for pilgrimage. Okay, we visit cave. Okay, we do our meditation retreat over there. So, central area. So, you can see that government do not just want to have orchard areas known to the tourists. And they are also creating a very delightful neighborhood. There are vibrant activity throughout the days. So nowadays you can see that a lot of people doing like exercising, and they're also wanting to bring more homes into the central. But of course, saying that in the central, to be living in the central is not cheap lah. Okay, so that is some of the consideration. And of course, there are also connecting parks and open space. So within the central, okay, we have got the Fort Canning Park, we have the Pearl Hill, we have the Singapore Rivers and the Marina Bay. And of course, government also encourage every one of us to move more. So there are all these active mobility. Okay, walk more, if not cycle. Sometimes Singapore is quite small, so cycling from point A to point B is still quite practical. Okay, and of course, like I mentioned earlier, all these red color things is actually they are putting in more residential property in the central areas. Because right now, most of the people, they are just working in the CBD. After that, they go home. So in the night time when you go to CBD, is like a ghost town, okay? But now they want to bring in more people. So they are creating more homes in the central areas. And where are some of these community? So there's this hillside enclave like York Hill, Pearl Hill. This project is by the Capital Land. Capital Land is one of the very reputable developers in Singapore. And of course, there are also this waterfront housing, Rochelle Canal. Some of these areas you may not be familiar with, but anyway, all this information is going to be readily available on the website. I can share with you the website at the end of our presentation. And you can walk from hill to hill, leisure walk from one park to another park, and of course, urban neighborhood and Marina South. And the beneficiary project is Marina 1. Okay, so right now, our CBD, predominantly, it is commercial. That means offices, grade A offices. Okay, it's very expensive to be renting an office in the CBD areas. But in the near future, okay, because I also heard this from Dr. Om, that they are going to have some mixed use, okay, mixed use. So they encourage building owners to convert the building predominantly commercial to mixed. That means it's not just residential, not just commercial, but mixed in between. So residential and commercial. Okay? So basically same thing that applies to the downtown. Okay? Better connectivities, wider diversity of use. Okay? Not just one usage for office, not just one usage for residential, but rather mixed use. Okay? And Singapore, there's also this thing called the MRT. I tell you, last time when I was young, okay, there's only one green line. Okay, there's only one green line. And now, okay, whole Singapore, 8 out of 10 families is going to be less than 10-minute walking to an MRT station. We are so small, but there are a lot of MRT stations. Okay? And of course, okay, so this is the CBD incentive schemes. Okay, the percentage that you see at the end is the allowable intensification. So all this percentage means that for building owner is an advantage for the building owners. Okay, so these are some of the area earmarked to qualify for the incentive schemes. Okay, so this color, okay, there is a legend. The legend, once again, after today's presentation, you can go visit RLA website, which is readily available for everybody in the world. And then you can see what are the legend. But I just want to show you very quickly. From 5.6 plus, then there are more clarity, and you can see there's also an increase in plot ratio. So when there's a plot ratio of like 6.3, that means it can go much higher. So that will be the meaning of these numbers. So, but of course, when there are all these rejuvenation incentive given, there will also be some potential implication, because rising development charges rates, okay, for residential and hotel use, and the high standard of design will also lead to higher design and construction costs. And actually, government also discourage people to drive to CBD. Okay, they would encourage people to take the public transport instead. Okay, so there will be lesser car park lots to be built for the new development in the central areas. Okay, so Hobelt Orchard Road. So ladies and gentlemen, there was this guy who did the Wang Wang biscuit. Have y'all do you have Wang Wang biscuit in Nepal? The Wang Wang biscuit. Okay, this guy is a Taiwanese. Okay, and then he came to Singapore. He said, buying one unit, no kicks. He bought the entire residential building in Orchard Road. And he spent about $300 million at Eden Dreadcourt. So people come to Singapore, they do not buy units, they buy blocks. Okay, so they buy blocks, they buy the entire blocks. Okay, so you can see this is right in Orchard Road, our core central region. So Orchard Road transformation. I believe that for those friends who have visited Singapore, every year when you go back to Singapore and you look at Singapore again, it has transform. Don't you agree? Just like for me, when I come to Nepal before COVID, after COVID, I see changes. Okay? That means the country are developing, the country are growing. So there will be a lot of activities that you can experience in the central areas. So you can see people doing exercising. Okay, I was trying to maybe go out there for a jog, but I think there are some haze right now. I think cannot jog. Okay, otherwise I may have to put on a mask if I want to jog on the road. Okay, and of course Somerset. You see, this is a Shibuya crossing. All this is part of master plan, which is going to be happening in the next 10 to 15 years. Right now, not yet, but it's in the pipeline. It's in the pipeline. And same thing, the plot ratio is going to go higher and higher. Okay, they will tear down the old building and then they will build higher and higher. Okay, and of course, same thing. Okay, the plot ratio increased from 4.2, 4.9 to 5.6. So I'll just give you an example. 4.2, and then can you see this plot of land? It went up to about 5.6. So that means this plot of land can go higher, and developer will find sense to redevelop or to en bloc collective sales, and they can build higher. So urban transformation. You can see the side of the building that is the current Keppel land project. Okay, called the reflection. Okay, suddenly forget. Okay, reflection. So, and then of course this was the Keppel Golf Club last time. And after when the lease ended, government acquired the land. So Singapore, there's this Land Acquisition Act. So the government can acquire the land for public use. And they're going to build residential in this area. This is going to be a huge, huge development in the near future. Okay, so Greater Southern Waterfront. Okay, so Greater Southern Front development will start in about 5 to 10 years. Okay, it's a huge project which have not even started yet. So they are going to build a lot of houses in this area, and the park will also be connected. Okay, so another very interesting in the southern part of Singapore, which is the integrated resort. At one point of time, our founding father do not want to have casino, okay, on our land. Because why? They scared we may become gamblers. Okay? And Asian, okay, we like to gamble, like this. Okay? So, in the end, our founding father is very versatile. In the end, we do not just have one. They say, since we don't have. But since now you decided to have, let's not just have one. Let's have how many? Singapore, we have 2. Okay, but we don't call it casino per se. We call it integrated resort. Only a very small percentage of the floor areas are used for gambling. But the majority of the areas are for hotels, are for Minion Park. You know, see the Despicable Me, the Minion. We are going to have the Minion Park, Super Nintendo World. And this is going to be a 1,000 room or suite. For tourism for Singapore, it's a $3 billion industry. So please come to Singapore and visit Singapore. Every year, Singapore, you can see that there is huge transformation. There are huge transformation for Singapore. And this tower is going to be built very soon. And then, even for myself, if you ask me, Ken, how many times have you visited the casino? MBS? How many times? One time. Because you have to pay $150 to enter the casino. I will not let them earn my $150. I will keep for makan. For food. Makan is food. For eating. And there's one more at Genting. Okay, we call it the Resort World at Sentosa. So there are only 2 Sentosa. I only visited one time for each. Because as Singaporeans, I cannot not visit the casino. Am I right to say that? So I go one time for each only. So basically, it's going to be a $9 billion expansion. It's not a monopoly per se. Okay, we give out license to 2 companies, Sands and Resort World, Genting. Okay, and good things worth waiting for. Say the MBS chief. So they're going to pump in billions and billions of dollars. for Singapore. And Sentosa at the Southern Gateway. Next time in the near future, this entire Pulau Brani in the near future will be another theme park. Okay, right now it's all the ship container, but in the near future it will be a theme park. Okay, and now it's connecting the water, connecting the park. So remember I talked about garden city. Okay, we are going to have the garden in the city. So while all these concrete, all these buildings are coming up, they are also building a lot of parks as well. So basically, you can see that no battery. Okay, move already. Okay. So basically linking the blue and the green and the blue. So when you come to Singapore, there are also many parks. There are some hill that you can go, but of course, if this hill compared to any of the mountain here it can't be least. It's too low. It's only about 100 over meters only for Singapore. Mount Faber is about 168 meters only. Very short. So, rail corridor. So this is where the park, where as for myself, I love all this park because I regularly exercise. So basically, there's a 24 kilometers north to south of Singapore. And the park actually connect to all these places along the way. Okay, along the way, like Mona Vista, Kranji, One North. One North are where all the high-end manufacturing happening at this area. And then, of course, we have the Silat Avenue, South Residences. So this entire rail corridor are already connecting, okay, all these places. So Singapore to have 1,000 hectare more parks and park connectors. So garden city concept. Okay, you can see that live, work, and play. It all gel in together. Okay, so Beauty World, Bukit Timah, huge transformation because this area was also earmarked as a transformation as part of the master plan. So same thing, the plot ratio, revision, and increase. Kallang River, okay, so this area is in terms of the river of life, connecting people, places, and memories. Old Kallang Airport, Singapore Tennis Court, Kampong Bugis. This area is also a very interesting area in Paya Lebar because last time this area, right now this Paya Lebar, this entire area now is still there, it's an air base. But by 2030, they are going to convert this entire air base into a commercial hub. So they are going to remove these entire areas. Okay, so it's a massive job that's going to happen in the near future. So they are going to convert into commercial institution, industrial education, and residential as well. So there are a lot of change of use for the land. Okay, when they see some of the needs for us to do it highly livable and sustainable new town. So all this town is also coming up for Singapore. As I've mentioned earlier, Singapore is a very small country. So they have to reuse, refresh, rejuvenate the land. Jurong Lake District is in the western part of Singapore. So this will be the second CBD of Singapore, Central Business District. The first is in the current south. This will be in the western part of Singapore. So they are also going to build a dedicated Jurong regional line that will create 200,000 new jobs just in this area. Okay? And Sky Corridor. This is a Tengah new town of Singapore. This new town, okay, last time used to be a kampong, or we call it rural areas. They convert these entire areas into a new town. Okay, so this is now distributing out the key right now already. And of course, same thing in the western part. We have also have a lot of parks in these areas. Same thing, master plan. The change of use of the master plan, reusing, rejuvenate of the land. So northeastern part. So now you can see the MRT line of Singapore is very complex. Actually, looking at it is quite complex, but when you are there in Singapore, when you take our public transport, when you take our MRT system, actually it's quite easy. Okay, it's not confusing. And of course, if you cannot find a way, you can always ask the people You can always ask the station people, they will guide you to the right station. So try to take the MRT, okay? It's very, very interesting, and it's very comfortable, and it's very easy to use, and it's quite cheap, okay, to take the public transport. So growing public transport and cycling network, as like mentioned, live, work, and play. So this will be the final line, which is the cross island line. So with the cross island line, which are earmarked to be completed in 2030. So that is still some years down the road. And once it's done, it will have a faster commuting time. Because we all understand that time is money, money is time. Okay? So basically, all the new growth in the northeastern region. And then Punggol Digital District. This is in the northeastern part of Singapore. Company like Boston Dynamics, they are in robotics. They are already one of the tenants for this area. So Singapore government is working with many of these major corporations like Rolls-Royce. They do the aeroplane engine. They are also in Singapore. They are one of the biggest aeroplane engine makers in Singapore. And they are coming, okay? They are coming to have the plant, have the office set up in this Punggol Digital District. So the next generation smart and integrated district. So you will see that a lot of advanced manufacturing. So this logo that you can see over here is not very clear. It's actually JTC. JTC represents Jurong Town Corporation. So they are the company that's creating, it's a government agency that is creating tomorrow industrial space. So Changi, if you come to Singapore, that will be the first place that you'll be visiting. Changi Airport, okay, Changi. So you'll be the aviation park in the near future. We are building our Terminal 5. Singapore, 720 square meters, we got 5 terminals. So sometimes they say that Singapore got terminal illnesses. Okay, it's just a joke. Okay, so basically, okay, catapulting aviation industry as the next key economics engine. Okay, we are well connected with the world. Okay, in terms of sea, in terms of air. And with all this connection, the cross island line, same thing, they are going to have a much shorter commuting time. Okay, so sustainability. We are coming to one of the final part of my presentation today. Because like I mentioned earlier, we are also an island. So what happened is that how does government protect our coastline? By building revetment and the flood wall. Because Singapore, we are island. So surrounding is all water. And also, sometimes there are flooding issue. So they build deep tunnel water detention tank. So that is very important because even in Singapore, we used to be prone to flooding. But now with all these mitigating factors, okay, it has resolved the issue. And of course, we aim to produce 30% of Singapore nutrition needs locally by 2030. And of course, all of you may have read about it. We have a contract for Malaysia supplying the water to Singapore. Okay, we have this contract till 2061. So we must plan for ourselves. So we are able to recycle the water, okay, from industrial, from household, and convert into a new water. And this new water is potable water. We can drink the water, okay, which is a reverse osmosis. And the most amazing thing, okay, we have a total of 3 desalination plants. That means we convert seawater into potable water through reverse osmosis. So Singapore, we have got 4 tap strategy, and of course we also have got reservoir. And our reservoirs are all ready, okay, once they have treat the water, it's ready to drink. So we are going underground as well, like I mentioned earlier. So basically, government have promised us, okay, for all the underground amenities, it's only for supporting facilities. It's only for supporting like car park, pedestrian, marina, coastal, expressway, like MRT network. It's about 30-40 meters underneath, okay, in Singapore. So some of the hotspot of choices. So same thing. So this is the link which I've mentioned earlier, that you can just go Google. You just key in URA master plan, or you can put in Singapore master plan. Okay, you can actually read and find out more about our plan. And I believe that if Singapore we can do it, we believe that Nepal we can do it together collectively. Okay, because as I've said, all this information are readily available. Okay, so thank you very much. Any questions? Anyone? Oh, yes, sir. Oh, is there a mic?
Thank you for an
Thank you very
exciting
much,
presentation. It was quite thought-provoking and informative. My question is whether the population of Singapore is going up or going down.
Yes.
If it is going down, what is the significance of your new master plan for
Okay.
For whom that master
For
plan?
people, okay. Thank you, sir, for asking the questions. Singapore, we have a target for population because Singapore, there are no natural resources. Okay, we cannot find mines, we cannot find any coals underneath. So what is the only resources that Singapore have? Human resource. So by 2030, government have a plan to increase the population to 6.9 million. Right now, it's about 5.9 million. So right now, how do we, will the people come in or not? Will the people come in or not? They will come in. Because we need people to run. And by 2030, 1 out of 4 Singaporeans is going to be above the age of 65. So it's an aging economy. So this is a problem that government, what we can do now is that they are going to import foreign talent. So we need foreign talents to Singapore. But now the thing is that for Singapore, we are able to be very selective. We don't need a lot of people to come to Singapore. We just need a very small percentage of the world talent pool to come to Singapore is good enough with you. And that's the reason that recently that you can see people like Alibaba, Jack Ma, the wife has bought those commercial shop house in Singapore. Many of these names, okay, they are already in Singapore. The high net worth individual is also coming to Singapore. Like Jim Rogers, Ray Dalio, they have got family office set up in Singapore as well. So basically, the plans for population will happen, okay, but of course it will happen progressively. And now government are building all this infrastructure to support. That's the reason we have got all this MRT connection. And then they are actually like relocation of the Paya Lebar Air Base so that next time they can build more houses, the greater southern waterfronts. There are also going to be residential development in this area. So yes, so we are ready to bring in, to cater for the rising population, but it's not a huge increase because Singapore, we have got that amount of space only. So it's about 6.9 million by 2030. That will be the Singapore population. Okay, thank you, sir.